Today on Locked On Phoenix Suns, maybe the last game that mattered of the Suns season, but not the last episode of Locked On Suns. You got us no matter what. 148-109 and a KD injury. We're laughing through the pain next.
You are Locked On Suns, your daily Phoenix Suns podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back into Locked On Phoenix Suns. I'm Brendon, Kleen, a staff writer at Awful Announcing, and a credentialed Suns media member. Thank you for making Locked On Suns your first listen on a very rough Sunday night into Monday morning. Don't forget Locked On Suns free and available on all platforms, including YouTube, so click that follow or subscribe button to do what thousands of other Suns fans have already done, become an everydayer, and get locked on to the Phoenix Suns right here each and every day. Lot of news coming this offseason, I feel, so you might want to get in early. Today's episode is brought to you by the Gametime app, the best place to buy any ticket that you need. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. And joining me, as always, from right here at a club music-filled PHX Arena, my fellow Suns credential media member. How are we feeling on this Sunday night, Ben Garcia?
Man, you said it. Smiling through the pain. I don't even what if people look at my face, they'll probably think it's like, what is this guy on? I have been a Suns fan my entire life, and not this casual Suns fan. They were my first love. So I'm trying to think of if I've seen worse. Has there ever been worse?
Well, we were looking at the worst losses in franchise history, which this was actually getting close for, which honestly, pat on the back to the Suns franchise. They haven't had I don't think they've lost by 50 ever.
No, I think they lost by 50 in the Earl Watson years. Remember when Earl Watson got fired?
It wasn't 50.
They
didn't
50?
actually lose the game by more than 50 total points. They were down 50 of a lot and whatever, but
credit to the Suns.
But you mentioned that season, the 17-18 season. I think 4 of the worst 10 losses ever were all in that season. So that was probably worse, but this one you had expectations, which of course makes things different. But let's get to the big moment of this game, which had nothing to do with the basketball being played, because this game got out of hand very, very, very quickly. Instead, it was the departure of Kevin Durant with an ankle turn in the second half of this game. And I think that marked probably the end of the Suns season, because
official.
Losing these two, which were 2 of the only games where you were even close to the teams you're playing in the standings until the last 2 games of the season. You had to get a win. They didn't even do that. Now you're going to go into the absolute worst of it without Kevin Durant, a road trip against a whole bunch of really good teams, and by the time if he even could get back, it might not even be possible to get back to 10. And of course, we know what could come in the offseason. So we had always been saying, knock on everything.
Well,
and injury is the only way this could get even worse, and that happened tonight.
Well, to be fair, Brendon, have you seen the Suns schedule coming up? I mean, it's pretty light. Maybe these guys can figure it out. I don't even know what to say. I don't know what to say, man. KD, it was. If there was if you were doing a Suns season, a movie, right? The trailer that I think you would give off, that would be the biggest eye-popping moment, and you would play the sound with the arena too. When KD twisted his ankle, no one really did anything, and then he grabbed his ankle.
Yeah.
And the entire stadium groaned in unison. It was 70 games of just BS that we've had to deal with all year as Suns fans, all coming to an end, potentially, with Kevin Durant grabbing his ankle. That was, if we're doing a PHX report, that was by far the most just goosebumps. It was oh man, we've all been through it. And KD tried to walk it off. Credit to him. He obviously wanted to stay in the game, but
he couldn't even shoot his free throws.
No, man.
So that tells you how
shoot his free throws.
How bad it was. Yeah, injury-wise, the only one I can think of that had that was when Chris' arm got pulled out of its socket in the opening minutes of that 2021 playoff run. That was pretty crazy. But yeah, that was obviously the opposite, where it was a big high and then it went down because it was just so sudden.
Were you at that game?
Yeah.
Wow, man.
So but that's different. But so yeah, I think that's a good comp. I obviously was not at that game. Yeah.
But that's a good comp, man. That's a good one.
I think everything sort of feels like it's on the table now, because you combine the fact that they lost these 3 games now in such ugly fashion. Where, like, the last time that we were talking heading into the Boston game, it was like, how competitive did that game have to be? Then, of course, it wasn't.
Not even close.
Then the Minnesota game, which we didn't do an episode on, of course, not really competitive, in the second half at least. And now this one was just the worst. So you add that in, and it feels like you're back to square one with coaching changes and everything else. You feel like now the Durant injury might just, top off the end of the season. And, I mean, it took me 30 seconds to gather my thoughts when we were sitting up here watching it, and then I said, Suns-Rockets on March 30th, 2025 might have been the last game that Kevin Durant ever played in purple and orange.
Yeah, I wonder how much truth there is to that statement. What would be not funny at all, because injuries aren't funny and it's not cool, but almost like, I don't know, a little
ironic.
Ironic would be is he started his campaign with the Phoenix Suns in a layup line, twisting an ankle, slipping on a wet spot, on almost the exact same location, same side of the court.
Yeah.
And then he ends potentially his Suns career twisting an ankle, almost on the same side, and we never see him again. That
the symmetry, he did left and right. He got both ankles, I guess, over the course of time.
When only Arizona sports fans get it, like true Arizona sports, like myself, I'm an all Arizona guy, at least fans of 2 of the 3 teams.
Yeah.
And only that could happen to us. That's what it feels like. And so I sympathize, man. I part of the reason why Suns fans still watch games is because Kevin Durant's there, and Kevin friggin' Durant's in a uniform, and we're gonna get an earlier taste of what it feels like without Kevin Durant on this team earlier than we thought. And I didn't think this was gonna happen. Even like a dumb ankle turn. I don't know what to say, man. And in our pick, you know who it's going to? The freaking team we played to tonight. That's another reason why you want to try to get in the playoff, is you don't want to give this team a lottery pick. So
they don't have enough, right? They definitely don't have enough lottery picks on their roster already. I'm so glad they're getting another one. But yeah, that's all very valid. I would like to see him be able to come back this year, if for nothing else than to be able to get an All-NBA opportunity for himself, because I think that has been the only bright spot of this season. Devin Booker has had a very down season, had an awful game on Friday night. All the other nonsense. No, you don't even know who's going to be in the rotation half the night because of how inconsistent this team has been. They might go through another coach. It has been that guy putting up 25, 30, 35, 40 on efficiency, playing his typical brand of basketball that, like you said, has been the only reason to even watch, let alone the only thing worth celebrating about this team. So I would like for him to be able to redeem that chance, but we'll see if it happens. Obviously, he's not going to rush himself back for that. The team would.
You don't think he would? I think.
What does he need that for at this point, right? Like, he's done it a dozen times. He already can get the contract's not going to be dependent upon that.
Yeah.
All that stuff. It's like
but
second team, third team All-NBA at this point in his career. Like, it's very meaningful, but it's not worth jeopardizing your health over.
Jeopardizing your health, like, aside from, like, the worst thing he could do, theoretically, is roll it again, and he has the whole offseason to get better. I mean, he could snap his ankle, which, of course, you don't want to do that. But I do think Kevin Durant still cares about that a lot, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think getting All-NBA at, 37 years old, 38 years old?
36, yeah.
36 years old? 36, obviously. 36 years old, like, I think that's
I think you're right.
Is a big story of Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
So I think if I had to guess, I think he will be back.
And you never know when it's going to be your last one. Not even that he's going to have some catastrophic thing happen to him. I just mean
it could happen.
Some season is your last one. So if you get to 62 games and you're in everybody's ballots, and this crappy timing of this happens, then yeah, I could totally see that would inspire him to get back on the court. But time will tell. All right, let's get to some more thoughts on this game, because it wasn't just Kevin Durant getting hurt. It was also a huge step back that has us all scratching our heads of how we are back here. So we'll get to that in just a second. First, today's show brought to you by the Gametime app, the best place to buy any ticket that you want. There's nothing like watching basketball live, though. The energy of the crowd, the sound of sneakers on the hardwood, and maybe even a celebrity sighting courtside. If you want to catch a game in person, Gametime makes getting tickets easier than ever. And their new feature, Gametime Picks, filters out the fluff and shows you only the best deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time scrolling through thousands of tickets. Where's the Final Four this year for the men?
San Antonio.
San Antonio, Texas. Let's say you live in Texas, you live in Albuquerque, whatever. You want to fly there. Maybe you live across the country, you're going. Your alma mater's in it. We'll see whatever it ends up looking like. I guess that'll be determined by the time everybody listens to this. Gametime Picks. You pop open San Antonio, you pop open men's college basketball, and it gives you the best values right up top. Not always the absolute cheapest thing, not always the absolute best seat, but the best value, meaning the best bang for your buck. So you don't have to scroll and filter and do all this sort of stuff. Gametime tells it to you right there up front. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime Picks. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Game time.
They usually mouth it. So.
Now you got a live mic, so you can do it.
Usually get muted, so.
All right. 39-point loss, 78-point first half for this team, 70-point second half. I mean, it's not even that much different.
They scored 78 points in the first half.
Yeah, and for the record, like, I don't know where Houston is anymore in offense, but this is not any sort of spectacular offensive team. This is a team that we know is linked to both of the Suns' best players for this exact reason, and yet they're the 9th best offense in the NBA, and yet somehow they were the team to score more than Milwaukee could, more than Minnesota could, more than whatever, 148. So I guess here's my question, because you were referencing right before we hit record, like the conversation we had, what's real, what's not? Is it the 4-game win streak, or is it the 60, 70 games before that? What was closer? And we both agreed, like, it probably is fair. We felt safe saying it's somewhere in the middle, right?
Yeah.
They're not as terrible as, losing to the Grizzlies D team on New Year's Eve. They're not as bad as this and that, but they're probably not as good as, like, oh yeah, next time they play Cleveland, they'll win, right? But like, my reasoning at least was to say the guys who they're playing, I just feel like give them a higher floor because there's effort and intensity and the right type of a roster. Well, guess what? Those guys played today. So what do you say now?
You got me, man.
Yeah.
Like,
not.
I know, of course. I'm
what
just saying,
can anyone say now?
I know you're not picking at me, but like, I think what you had said was I think you and I agreed about something after I did the Celtics game alone, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things I said we learned is if there is a ceiling on this team, we saw it tonight, and it's incredibly low. And then you echoed that the next day, which was kind of fun to see. The Suns, these guys elevate their floor. I think one of my favorite analogies that I like to say is the Suns had a bunch of flat tires to start the season. Tyus Jones, Brad Beal. You insert a couple of spare tires like Colin Gillespie and Nick Richards, and the floor is elevated, but you'd always would rather have a tire that isn't a spare. And so this team, I don't even know where to go, man. Because I kind of had the same thought you did. The Suns are down to 25 points, and Cody Martin came into the game, and I was like, I'm not as high as Cody Martin as I was last week.
So we don't have to spend too much time on this because it's something I think I want to come back to, and it'll definitely shape how I think the team should and will approach the offseason. But the more the time that passes, I think that whatever went wrong with Jusuf Nurkic, that was the end of the season.
What do you mean?
I think that we underestimated, and I didn't. I mean, I'll just pat myself on the back a little bit to say last season, I think I was very on top of the fact that Nurkic was having a career best year and that Vogel was and Kevin Young were doing a lot to maximize him.
Agreed.
Defensively, offensively, whatever, to get the most out of what he could be. But I think that once the bottom fell out of the center spot, the reason the Suns lost this game is they couldn't defend, right? And you can't play defense without any kind of interior presence, without rim protection, without. By the way, they ejected Dylan Brooks is just hanging out over here in the seats. He's dapping up his buddies right here, and it's been very distracting because the dude wanted to fight a referee, and he's just like eating like some almonds out of a plastic bag with his buddies.
Just so I can paint a better picture, he's like 15 rows up into the section. He's closer to the bar than he is the court.
I guess the hotel's too boring. Maybe Houston's clearly not flying out tonight because otherwise he need to hurry. So, anyway.
I just remember he used to dance out with Memphis.
Yeah. So anyway, he was distracting him. He's headed back down now.
Well, I think the ref came and got him and said, "Hey, buddy." I think he's still trying to find a ref.
Yeah, maybe he's trying to find some fans who are barking at him. But so yeah, I think like Nick Richards played awfully tonight. Oso couldn't hold his own against Şengün. That's one of the guys, multiple times that we've listed that Oso would struggle with, and he did. And I just feel like when you no longer had that anchor of your defense and somebody with size who could really fit with this group, like that's the main thing that's different from last year to this year. And Brad's played crappy, but Brad's wasn't even out there tonight, and he hasn't been out there a lot. I just look at it and I'm like, that's the biggest thing that changed. And so I wonder if Nurk was bad all year. It just got worse and worse, but he was never good. He was getting benched the opening week of the season. We were talking about it. So I don't know. I think like that is one of the things I look at where I'm like, when it falls apart so terribly like this, I really think about his collapse and obviously, banishment. And I'm like, maybe it was just over then.
Well, I think another thing I'll take, again, just a victory lap on is, we were told Nick Richards was going to solidify the center position, and I tried to tell people.
I mean, we weren't. I think people were reasonable about it.
No, I don't think so. That's right where I disagree with you. I've been seeing Nick Richards trades for 2 years now.
Yeah, well, people wanted him.
And immediately I texted you, and I said they got all three. This was the first thing I said, and I was like, that's crazy. And it does feel like Nick Richards right now does feel like
I think we all would have liked him to help much more than he has. But I don't think anyone looked at that trade as like, problem solved.
Well,
here we come, 6 seed.
I think we all saw. Well, not all. I think everyone was kind of like, oh, the floor is elevated with this team because he's the best center on this team now. He's not.
And the floor didn't go up.
No.
So you're right.
Oso has been better than dramatically.
Yeah.
Especially over the last, month of the season.
Yeah.
So I would agree with you, and like in that sense, that's where a lot of it did go wrong. But I think what amplified it is the first injury. So when Kevin Durant got injured, it not only amplified how bad the center position was, but it amplified how bad the rest of the roster was without him. And it's where they went from 9-1 to I think it was like straight up 9-9. And then he finally came back, and that's when I think it all just tumbled downhill. So
and even last year when either a Booker or Durant were hurt, they were bad. So that's been a constant for sure.
Yeah, I was saying in the post game recap, like the Suns games are just a Mad Lib, man. If you don't even need to watch the games anymore, you could just say, you could go to the water cooler at your office and be like, oh man, the Suns were so bad last night because they just left open threes. They were turning the ball over, and center position wasn't good. You could say all those things every game, and you'd be like, oh, that guy must be an avid Suns watcher. So I don't know what else to say, man. It cannot get any worse.
Not than tonight.
Outside of a catastrophic injury to like Booker, like a catastrophic.
Yeah, which
is not an ankle turn, but something awful. Which God, I think we've taken enough.
Yeah.
It can't get any worse. Like it's even if Booker turned his ankle, he'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm back to everything is on the table in the off season, and this is. Yeah, I think. Whatever. We don't need to get into it.
Right.
I don't. Devin Booker's only getting traded if Devin Booker wants to get traded.
Absolutely.
But I'm saying it is so bad that I'm not going to go into the offseason thinking, well,
we don't
nothing.
have to.
There's none of that. So you can't, and this is the thing that they could surprise us and beat Milwaukee. They could do something, whatever. This happened last year too. And this team told us who they were tonight. And, I don't think there's anybody left who still denies it, but believe them this time.
Hey,
they told us. They say they don't care. They don't really want to play that hard. They don't fit. And the talent is less than the sum of its parts. So that's the truth. And that's just what the team has to be honest with itself about.
Let me literally take my fanboy hat off for a second and just say one thing. You texted me. Because normally we'll split up. I've said this before. I'll take some duties. You'll take some duties. You'll go to the podium and pressers. How many players and coaches talked about tonight's game?
Well, I can do that as a PHX Arena report, but it's not as juicy as it might sound. We'll get to that after one more quick break. All right, we're back. I'll answer Ben's question. Bud talks, period. So Bud spoke.
Okay.
Players, they didn't have anybody go to the press conference, which technically that's breaking league rules, but it happens plenty. People spoke in the locker room. I just didn't want to waste your time lingering around the locker room to go ask Kevin Durant how ugly and awful that was. I mean, not him, but Book. And then have him go, yeah, that was unexcusable. I left, but Dwayne, Rankin, and others, they're doing their jobs still.
There was no one at the podium.
Yeah.
Okay.
Usually they will do 2 people post-game up at the table, which is, the clips we all see.
Okay.
Tonight, 0.
That's where I was going to say, I still don't love it. I'm going to be honest with you. I still don't love it. I understand they're in the locker room. I understand you can ask questions in the locker room. Face the music.
I don't think it's about that. I think that it's really like the podium is supposed to be the star of the game, the player of the night. And when you lose by 39, it's sort of like, who is that really supposed to be? It's almost kind of that awkwardness of like, all right, buddy, go talk about what you did tonight. Yeah, but they're doing that. I guarantee you right now, we've been recording. If we went on Twitter, there's a video of Devin Booker talking.
Sure. Walk with me here. Walk with me here. Walk with me for a second. I'm not even saying I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
But I'd be curious to know what our comment section thinks of this too, because sometimes I throw out these wild thoughts. Yeah. And just walk with me for a second. The locker room is comfortable. You can sit down, you can stand up, you can answer any questions you want. You can turn on guys, say, I don't want to answer your question, start, get dressed. There is something to sitting up in front of the podium, in front of everyone, and answering why your team is a complete bleep show. And I know that maybe I'm wrong here, and I'm a little old school when it comes to this.
No, I don't think you're old school.
But as the leader, I am a little disappointed that didn't sit up at the podium and face the music over a nearly 50-point loss.
And it's fair to do that. It's fair to be disappointed by it. I just think there is also an element of genuinely what could he say today that would be different than any number of other ugly losses, right? It is just we are people. He is repeating himself. Is it actually useful, or is it just being a show pony at a certain point to be he
kind of is.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but I
see what you're saying, that it can become redundant. Yeah. There's no reason for it, all that stuff. But I do think there's something to sitting up on the podium. Every main reporter is there. They can ask you whatever question they want for 10 minutes or whatever it is. Yeah. Maybe even shorter than that.
Yeah, it would have been much shorter tonight.
Exactly. But even him just saying, didn't get out in transition, energy was late, I would like that. And as the leader, I'm not going to lie to you, it does disappoint me a little bit that Devin Booker, not Kevin Durant, because he had an injury, no one wants to ask, he doesn't want to answer.
He won't talk to him.
No, but it does bother me that the leader, the soul of this team, the guy that everyone gets their arms around, Devin Booker, didn't face the music tonight at the podium. And I would be curious to see what people think of that theory, because I think when your team loses this badly, I don't care about a 2-point loss to the Bucks, but people don't want their players' heads on a platter after a Bucks loss. They want it after a 50-point loss.
Well, here's what I'll say is, to your point, he has not earned the benefit of the doubt. And when I am fully in your camp is after 2022 and 2023 in the playoffs, Devin Booker did not speak at end-of-season availabilities. We did not see him or talk to him heading into the postseason. To me, that's inexcusable. When the entirety of the season is needing to be summed up to your fans who are Should I buy season tickets? Should I buy my little kid a jersey? Should I, buy Suns Live on a subscription service? Whatever, and that's just money, but should I give a crap? And you don't sit there to sum up the 82 games that you just did? That I actually have a really, really big problem with. So we'll see. We'll see what happens at the end of the season, but that's personally kind of my line in the sand, because he has, like we talked about it, I don't even remember what game it was, but the one where he basically called out Bud and then they both kind of walked it back. But like that game, I felt like there's only so many times you can do that, and that's kind of what I'm sure Booker would have wanted to do after this game. So maybe it's just about picking your battles. But yeah, let us know what you guys think in the comments section. Last thing to get to before we wrap, the standings, because we talked on Thursday episode into Friday where we said, hey, what are we going to think if things go sideways this weekend and they can't even win one? And I said, we're going to think we counted them into the 10 seed much too early. And that is certainly what it feels like right now, because they are back to being a game and a half out. Dallas is actually up to 9. Sacramento is 10. And the Suns are 11. And
I should have stuck with my freaking prediction. I should have said, well, not my prediction, but when you yeah, they'll get in. And I went, are you sure? And then I changed and said, okay, you're right. They're going to get in. What a stupid.
I was so convincing.
I'm just, thinking.
Honestly, I wasn't factoring in Anthony Davis coming back. And then Sabonis came back much sooner than he was supposed to. So there were 2 injury things that didn't help. But if you look at the Mavs and Kings schedules, they're much easier than the Suns the last, 7-8 games here. And now the Suns are back to having to make up ground. So without Kevin Durant, I mean, that's why I started the podcast the way that I did. It's really not looking great. So
I think we could get good news on Durant tomorrow, but let's just say it's bad news. Yeah, season's over.
He's at least missing. There's almost no way he plays Tuesday, so that's already one. No. Because they said he's not even flying with the team tomorrow to Milwaukee, so that's unlikely.
They already ruled that out?
Well, he could play Tuesday. He's just not flying tomorrow. They didn't officially say he's out for the game, but I mean, what is he going to fly late?
Walking around, like I saw Tyus.
No.
And Brad walking around, so you didn't see Katie, because I'd be curious to see. I'm sure it's on.
He
Twitter.
may have left.
I'm sure it's on Twitter.
Kind of right as the game ended, because he was already back there getting,
I wonder,
taped up and everything. So
I haven't.
But yeah, it's an uphill battle to say the least, and at this point deserved. They had a chance to keep the momentum going. They needed to win one of these 2 games, if not both, to stay in contention here, and they laid a big fat egg twice over the weekend. And what's the point? Who wants to watch them go to Sacramento and fall apart like they have for 2 years straight? I mean, I don't. So if this is how they're going to play, then I don't even really want to watch it. And I think most Suns fans feel the same way.
Yeah, and I know every Suns fan wants a pound of flesh. And we're going to get into even more later in the week, like the Devin Booker struggles and we're drinking up a fire hose here, guys.
Well, you also got all of April and May.
Exactly is what I'm saying. Like,
there's plenty of time to.
Everyone's going to want, we will talk about this at some point, but Devin Booker, for all extensive purposes, offensively, was good tonight. But
Devin Booker tonight had the same type of game to me that he had in Game 4 against Minnesota last year, which was basically
he scored some points and he was efficient.
I'm putting my head down, and you're not going to be able to look at the box score and tell me this one was on me.
And that's exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah, but I'm not saying the same thing as you. So
I'm saying like tonight's loss isn't on Booker.
Yeah.
But I just want to.
Okay, I thought you were roping it into the facing the music thing, and I'm like, let's just keep the points separate. I'm not going there again.
No, that's what I was saying.
Okay.
I understand I can get a little crazy, but not tonight. I feel like I've been.
No, what you said with that was fair. I'm just saying I wasn't doing that.
But Booker, because I know people, and we haven't really mentioned it, because Booker was bad against the Celtics. He's bad against the Timberwolves.
Yeah.
We'll dissect everything Devin Booker at some point and what the issues were, but
many times.
He has so much to. Devin Booker, I have been an adamant person on the show. We're not trading Devin Booker. That's our guy. You and I had some private conversations earlier before the game started, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not on trade Devin Booker. I don't want to go there. But recently, I have questioned my motives on why I've been so protective of him.
Yeah.
And that's got to change. And tonight, 24 points, cool. But you have needed to be Katie's Robin, and you've been Katie's Matthew Dellavedova. So that's not good. It's not good enough.
Maybe like Alfred. What are some of his other cronies? Batman's buddies.
Yeah, he's a Catwoman.
He has the guy that Morgan Freeman plays. It gives him like the guns and stuff.
That's Alfred, right?
No,
Alfred?
Alfred's the white guy.
You might be right. I've seen all the Batmans.
The guy in the Dark Knight that Morgan Freeman plays, that whatever his name is, maybe he doesn't give him guns. He has the camera footage and all that. So maybe it's him. It's definitely not Robin. And we will talk about Book's struggles, and we're going to continue to talk about it all off season. There you go, because it has huge implications on if he's around next season, what the next version of this Suns team should look like. And I think that's why it's important too. But that'll wrap us up. Hit follow or subscribe if you have not already. Become an everydayer. Get all those fun and not so fun.
What the hell is going on? Did you do that? I think you did.
Apparently I did, but I really do not know what I did. All right.
We need to figure out how we do that for every show. That was awesome. Either way, I'm
not planning on coming to any more games after tonight, so we're not doing any more episodes here.
I tried to get Brendon a hat for the bit. He wouldn't commit, guys. So, blame him. We could have had a yeehaw, grand old time, but he wanted to keep it serious. Ridiculous.
All right.
That was crazy, by the way.
That was insane. Yeah, me too. Me too. All right, that'll wrap us up. We'll talk to you tomorrow.